Hello and welcome to another episode of Soap Goes to the Oscars. This is episode 39. I'm recording this on August 28th, 2024. Also, same day I watched the movie. And we are still in the 1934 Oscars, the seventh ceremony, which aired on February 27th, 1935. The movie I watched this time was called Here Comes the Navy. And I watched this on a site. I think I might have watched another one on this site, but there's a social media site called OK, and it's a Russian social media site. And a lot of times when I search these movies, I do, Google search that says, Here Comes the Navy 1934 full movie. Sometimes it gets me a YouTube link. Sometimes it says it's on TCM or Daily Motion, or maybe it just, and I also usually before that, I check Just Watch and see if it's available streaming anywhere on a platform that I have. And if it's not, I do the Google search. I did that with this one. Actually, 4 of the movies in this round came up on this site, OK. And it's the link is, or the URL is ok.ru because it's Russia. And I tried to do a little research like, is this site okay to use? And, being that it's Russia, and a lot of things say that a lot of people say that they've watched stuff on it. Like there's a ton of old movies on it, especially people just rip DVDs, I guess, and put it on there. But is it safe? A lot of people say yes. I did watch this movie on there. The movie itself was it wasn't great quality. It kept like doing a weird like wavy image thing, and I don't know if that was some sort of video protection, like copy protection. On old VHS tapes. That's how old I am. On old VHS tapes, they used to, like when you try to copy them, sometimes like the color would fade in and out or something like that. So I don't know if that's what it was or if it was just the way it was recorded, but it wasn't a great picture. And a lot of people said, oh, make sure you use a VPN if you go on there, which I did not. And if I did going forward, it would cost money to do that, which is something I may look into because of my nervousness about it. The other 3 movies that are from this year that were available on that site, I ended up buying on DVD. Not terrible prices, average of about $9 for each of the 3. So $27, but I also had to pay $16 for one of the other ones that I couldn't find anywhere. So this round is shaping up to be one of the most expensive. So we'll see. Hopefully I'm not hacked. Back to it. Here comes the Navy. I'll give you a little wiki info. Here Comes the Navy, also known as Hey Sailor. It's a 1934 American romantic comedy film. It didn't say pre-code, so this is obviously after the code was in place. Written by Earl Baldwin and Ben Markson and directed by Lloyd Bacon. Film stars James Cagney, Pat O'Brien, Gloria Stewart, Frank McHugh. And I did read something about James Cagney and Pat O'Brien were friends for a long time, maybe before this, but at least after this. And Gloria Stewart, for those that may remember, is she plays the old woman, the old Rose in Titanic. And so this movie was in 1934. She was about 23, 24 at the time. And Titanic came out in 97, probably filmed in 96-ish. So, she was in her 80s at the time playing like a 100-year-old or something. I think Rose was supposed to be 17 in the beginning of the movie. And so in 1997 would have been from 1912 to 1997 would have been 85 years. So she would have been like 102. So I think they did actually have to put old age makeup on her because she wasn't old enough, but I digress. So production with the full cooperation of the U.S. Navy, principal photography, which ended early May 1934, took place at a number of naval facilities, including the Bremerton Navy Yard, Washington Naval Training Station, San Diego, California, as well as other locations in San Pedro and Sunnyvale, California. Naval personnel made up many of the extras in the film. Of historical interest is that a portion of the filming of Here Comes the Navy took place aboard the battleship Arizona, which was sunk by the Japanese on December 7th, 1941 at Pearl Harbor. Other portions of the film also include shots of the dirigible Macon a year before the accident that destroyed the airship with the loss of 2 crew. I did notice that they mentioned they were on the Arizona a couple of times, and I figured it was the same ship, but wasn't quite sure. Reception. In his review for the New York Times, film critic Frank Nugent described Here Comes the Navy as another of the films in traditional Cagney-esque manner. Some of the heartiest laughs of the current cinema season were recorded last night in the Strand Theater, where Here Comes the Navy had its metropolitan premiere. A fast-moving comedy enriched by an authentic naval setting, this Warner production has the added advantage in these parlous times of being beyond sensorial reproach. According to Warner Brothers records, the film earned 1,183,000 domestically, 575,000 internationally. Cinematography by Arthur Edison, edited by George Amy, music by Charles Zimmerman, distributed by, or production company and distributed by Warner Brothers. Release date July 24th, 1934. Runtime 87 minutes. I like that. This one, when it started, so that, the reviewer said in Cagney-esque manner, this is the first movie I've ever seen with James Cagney. I've obviously seen clips of him and, people imitating him saying, "You dirty rat," which, by the way, he never actually said in a movie. But when this started, he was very like rat-a-tat and like I don't know if it was Brooklyn or something, but that type of New York sort of accent. And he was super annoying. And I was like, oh no, is this what James Cagney's like? Am I going to like any of his movies? Because I do not like him. And then I'm going on to read stuff in his trivia on IMDb. It says he's considered one of the greatest actors of all time, and obviously I know that. But like this, his electric acting style was a huge influence on future generations of actors. Actors as diverse as Clint Eastwood and Malcolm McDowell point to him as their number one influence to become actors. His performance as George M. Cohan in Yankee Doodle Dandy 1942 is ranked number 6 on Premiere Magazine's 100 Greatest Performances of All Time from 2006. Well, there's two things here that show like what a good guy he was. So it says he often left the set early, claiming he was too ill to continue filming in order to ensure an extra day of filming so that the extras and the film crew, whom he thought woefully underpaid, could get an additional day's salary. In his autobiography, he mentions that while in the chorus of the musical Pitter Patter, he earned $50 to $5 a week, of which he sent $40 a week home to his mother. As his salary increased, so did the amount he sent back home. In The Public Enemy, 1931, he earned $400 a week, sending over $300 back home. Until his mother passed, he never kept more than 50% of his earnings. So, all that being said, by the end of this movie, he sort of won me over, and I guess I kind of got used to his performance of this character, and hopefully that's just the character that he was playing, because if every one of his movies he's at this same sort of level, it might be a little too much. But he was funny. It was a funny movie. The other actors were good too, and basic story is he joins the Navy basically to get back at a guy that beat him up. So a guy like took his girl at a dance. And they had interacted while the main character there, James Cagney, his character was a riveter, and his name is Chesty O'Connor. A riveter, Chesty O'Connor. Yeah. And his best friend Droopy joined the U.S. Navy to annoy O'Connor's nemesis, Chief Petty Officer Biff Martin. So they interact while they're working on like a ship, and the Biff Martin goes by and they get into kind of an argument. And then later they're at a dance. Chesty's with his girlfriend, and Biff comes in and cuts in on the dance. And so they get into a fight. Chesty gets beat up and decides he's going to join the Navy just to get back at him. But what he discovers when he gets in there is that he's got 90 days of boot camp. And then, he's signed up for 4 years. He does get assigned to the same boat that Biff Martin is on. But Martin says, like, look, we're in the Navy. So, when I have this uniform and you have your uniform on, we're not going to fight. And he was like, outside, take the uniform off. That's fine. But we go to prison, if we get into a fight in our uniforms. And then O'Connor meets Martin's brother, O'Connor meets Martin's sister, Dorothy, played by Gloria Stewart from Titanic, and kind of goes after her partly as a way to get back at Biff. And so then they fight throughout the rest of the, and he gets injured, and by the end of it, everything kind of works out like they always do. but it did sort of win me over by the end of it, the whole thing. And I did another one where I thought at the beginning I wasn't really going to like it. And then in the end I did. So I think I gave this one 3 stars in Letterboxd. What do we got here? Here comes the Navy, One Night of Love, The House of Rothschild. Like I said last time, The House of Rothschild kind of won me over a little bit too. One Night of Love. I don't fully remember my review, but I don't think that one won me over. So this one I might put at the top so far, actually, of these 3. It was pretty good. So 3 movies done out of 12. Actually 11 because one of them is not available, but making our way through it. And not bad so far. So hopefully it continues that way. Last time they kind of drifted off towards the end. I didn't like the last few. So we'll see how it goes this time. That's all I got. See you next time.